You're watching Training Camp with Adam Marburger, exclusively on CBT News.
Welcome to Training Camp exclusively on CBT News. I'm your host, Adam Marburger. I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm a black belt in automotive. This show is designed to help bring knowledge to you so you can become a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday. Today, we've got a very special guest. Welcome to Training Camp, Mr. Rob Johnson. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great, especially since I was invited back. That means the first time must not have been so awful.
The ratings were fantastic, and that's the only reason you're back.
Thank you.
Just
I appreciate it.
So today, we're going to talk, a little bit about profit participation.
Yep.
There's been some, I don't want to say concern, but there's been some chatter in the marketplace on lifetime warranties. What trends are you seeing right now when it comes to lifetime limited warranties that are being offered in retail stores across the country?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm going to look at it through the lens of profit participation. But we're going to talk a little bit about, or I'd like to talk a little bit about how lifetime affects the entire dealership and then how it affects the participation model. The overall trend that we're seeing is a little bit of a shakeup. Right? In that, lifetime has been a great tool to get people to dealers' stores. A why buy here? Why should I come to your store to buy my next vehicle? What we're finding, though, is that over the last decade, providers and working with their dealers haven't kept up with that rising inflation. I mean, we know that the cost of your average repair from 2018 to 2025 has gone up about 80%. Unfortunately, what we're finding is a lot of dealers didn't keep up the cost of that lifetime repair, that lifetime warranty going into their profit participation, which has caused a ripple effect of loss ratios that have skyrocketed on that product specifically. Okay. And so what we're seeing is a lot of dealers starting to explore, do I stop doing this lifetime trend, and asking what's next if I decide to get out of this space?
Yeah, I mean, why did dealers initially lean in to the lifetime, the whole theme of the lifetime, and when did this kind of start?
Yeah, they leaned into it because of what I mentioned a second ago, which is the why buy here, right? When you look at a limited warranty that you would give away to your customer on any vehicle that you might sell on your lot, you're really trying to accomplish one of two, if not both things, especially when you look at it through the lens of a profit participation program, which is, one, is it going to help me sell more cars? Am I going to drive more traffic? That's lifetime. Lifetime was key. In the last 10 to 15 years, it came out. There's a couple of markets where it's really, really heavy. And it came out as a market differentiator. When you buy your car from ABC Dealer, you get the peace of mind that it's going to come with a lifetime powertrain warranty to cover you for unexpected repairs throughout the length of ownership of that vehicle, right? A great way to drive traffic into your store. The other thing you're trying to accomplish with a giveaway warranty is you're trying to fund your profit participation program. When we say profit participation, you know what we're talking about: reinsurance, retros, DOWCs, you name it. And giveaway warranties are great tools to fund those programs because it doesn't rely on F&I having to sell. So you're not beholden to your penetration on a product to fund your participation program. You're relying on whatever car is eligible. So whatever car you deem eligible is going to have that warranty on it. So what we see a lot of times is dealers are trying to find a limited warranty that can do both. Can I attract new customers to my store, and can I fuel my profit participation model? Lifetime, great for attracting new people to your store, new customers to your store, and selling an extra car. Is it the best for a profit participation model? Well, it goes into it, that's great, but if you don't continually raise the cost, eventually the cost of repairs for that contract are going to outweigh the premium and the risk that you're putting in to your position. On top of that, it's not the best for cash flow. Think about the earning curve of a lifetime product. As it comes in, it takes 10 years at minimum. Most providers have a 10-year earning on that product. And so that's where we see a lot of dealers go, I'm going to put a 3-3. I'm going to put a 3-month, 3,000-mile policy directly into my reinsurance position. That's great for earning quickly. It's going to earn cash. It's going to churn out some underwriting profit very quickly for you and your portfolio. Is that the reason someone's going to come and buy a car from your store, though? I don't think anyone's jumping out of their seat because ABC Dealer has a 3-month, 3,000-mile powertrain warranty.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, is there a potential for any conflict you know, between sales, service, or even having a limited lifetime warranty? Is there exposure for conflict potentially?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at any limited warranty that you're going to add to the cost of the vehicle, there is going to be a conflict of interest, especially if you're participating in the risk, participating in the underwriting profit. What do I mean by that? Well, you're constantly trying to balance the cost of that hard ad. Think of it like a pack on your vehicle, right? You're trying to balance the cost of that. You're trying to keep costs low so that front end margins can stay in the green. At the same time, you want to make sure that that product that's going into your participation is going to carry good risk and be in a sub 100% loss ratio for you, so that you can have some underwriting profit down the line. So 100%, we see that it's this tug of war, and that's why we found, when I talk to dealers who are in a lifetime position, they set the price at 200, 250, maybe 275 8 years ago, and it stayed at 275 for the last 8 years. Well, did the cost to repair those powertrain claims, did it stay the exact same since 2018? And we know that it's just not the truth.
No. So let me paint a picture here real quick. I'm a dealer. I'm running about 100% loss ratio. Maybe I'm 105. I'm running hot. It's not profitable in reinsurance.
Yep.
The admin company is not excited about the program either. They're getting their fee income on the deal, but nobody's really winning. So let's say that the dealer wants to get out of that program. Is it easy to do? Like, you know, walk through that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, there's the fear that we run into when we're talking to a dealer. A lot of dealers will create and establish their brand on these why buy here's, right? And so when I talk to a dealer about their lifetime, other than raising premiums at sometimes an exorbitant amount because you're trying to catch up to the inflation that we've experienced, I'll ask them, I'll say, are you open to, you know, turning this off? And it's the fear of, I've established my brand around this. If I stop selling lifetime, I'm no longer the lifetime dealer. And so you have to start looking for alternatives that can help you just kind of rebrand. Every business does it. Hey, it's the flavor of the month. It's the, hey, we're gonna pivot here, and we're gonna get rid of the lifetime, but we're gonna give you X, Y, and Z. And there are a couple of great tools that we've found with our partners that has been working great to solve for the two problems that I talked about earlier, which is how do we attract people to your store, and then at the same time, how do we drive profitability in your reinsurance position in a healthy way?
Okay. So are there any hot products right now? I mean, you're all over in the market. Is there anything that's sizzling right now? What's hot? I mean, is there anything the dealers are really, really like going crazy over right now? As far as like, I mean, I'll use the term preload or giveaways. Is there, if you could share something, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not novel in the sense that it's, oh, this brand new thing that no one's ever heard of before, but it's a way to take a look at giving your customer two immediate benefits, like day one. And so what I mean by that is you would take a look at two smaller, when I say smaller, shorter in length giveaways for your customer, right? So when they come into ABC dealership, they're going to buy their new and near new car, and it's going to come with two benefits for you, Mr. Customer. In the first 12 months, we're going to take care of your lube oil and filters, your oil change, a prepaid maintenance giveaway. That's not unheard of. But the reason I say it's an immediate benefit is because your customer isn't getting an if come. They need to get their car serviced. And so you're saying for the first year, we're going to take care of that service for you. When you come back to our dealership, what does that do? It drives customer loyalty, where you're going to get people coming back to your service bay. And we all know what the statistics are. If they're going to do their service at your store, what's the likelihood they buy their next car from you? And so that's great because that pairs them well with a service contract that your F&I manager is going to try to sell in the F&I office. So that's an immediate benefit day one. Immediate benefit number two would be a short-term ancillary giveaway. And this is what a lot of dealers aren't thinking about. We think of income in the F&I office, and we typically think of what two products?
Service contract, gap, reserve.
Right, those are the big three. Ancillaries, I mean, it's called ancillary, as if it's just an addition to. And so what I've found, and what some of our partners have found, is they take a 12-month portion of an ancillary combo. So if you think of a combo product, which is typically your tire and wheel, your dent and ding, your key replacement, and your windshield. You take one of those components and you offer it as a 12-month giveaway, no cost to your customer. So they're gonna get two benefits. And so let's use tire as an example. Not tire and wheel, just tire. So it's gonna protect you, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, from a a blown tire, hitting a pothole, and your tire goes, or you ran over a nail, right, in your flat tire. That is immediate day one coverage because the OEM's not going to give them any coverage on that tire. The minute they drive off the lot, they are at risk of blowing their tire. And so you give them 12 months of coverage on a tire program, and that's immediate coverage for your customer. Both those can go into your profit participation model, and they earn really, really quickly with low loss ratios, which is great because the quicker it earns, the quicker access to cash you as the dealer have in that position.
Yeah, and we're talking a lot about profit participation, which wealth building for dealers is extremely important. But I also come in as a recovering finance manager. As I'm listening to you, I'm sitting there thinking about my journey when I sat in the box. And we did have a couple of giveaways. We gave our clients, we had a limited warranty. We had a 12-12. And I found that when you're negotiating optional protection packages, once you've given the customer something, that art of reciprocity kind of kicks in. I've already given you something. There's a little subconscious that feels like the customer should give something back, or at least listen a little bit differently. I have found that service contract penetrations, other ancillary, like you just talked about penetrations, they go up when you give the customer something.
1,000%, especially when the entire dealership buys into that culture. And that's where this plan can help with the lifetime offset. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to bash on lifetime. I'm just telling you some trends that we're seeing in the market. There are some dealers that have raised their prices on lifetime throughout, and they're incredibly profitable. But what I'm trying to do is just solve for that dealer that maybe hasn't kept up with it.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. When the entire
Say that again. Nobody ever says that to me. Exactly.
You're right.
I really like hearing that. I'm just kidding.
But when the entire culture is how you called ABC home of the worry-free purchase, right? Whatever that might be, the entire culture has to be there. And when it's there, you're going to find that your customer sitting in the F&I office, Mr. and Ms. Customer, or out in the interview, Mr. and Ms. Customer, why did you buy why did we get so lucky to get your business today? Well, I know that you guys give away the 1 month or the 12-month maintenance and the 12-month tire, whatever it is. They've just built value in the protection products that you're about to talk to them. We know, obviously, the power of talking about the OEM factory warranty, what is included there, and then how you can take that and then spin it into an extended service contract conversation. It's the same idea with ancillary. When you already open the door to have that conversation, you see the penetration skyrocket on these products because the customer's already made aware of it.
Yeah, and I will say this, I'll kind of sound off of this. Is great information, Rob, that you're sharing. Thank you, by the way. The products today, we have some really good products.
Oh yeah.
We have products that consumers want to buy, they actually use, they bring a lot of value. Yeah, there's some profit, but there's a retention piece. Like years ago in F&I was always trained, let's high-level service contract penetration. Let's always raise PVR. We're constantly trying to move the needle, but at the end of the day, our job in F&I is to get the customer happily engaged in the service. And we do that with F&I products that wed them to service, and then service does what they do and they come back. So this was a wonderful conversation. Thanks again for making the trip to Atlanta, Rob.
Absolutely.
I know you've got a busy schedule. I see your flights. So you're very busy, so thank you. And thanks for joining us for another episode of Training Camp. Training's not something that we did, it's something that we must do. And we must do it on a continuous basis. And remember, if nothing changes, nothing changes. We must be willing to get out of our own way and take action. And one final thought here, fights, they're never won in the ring, they're not won in the cage. Fights are won in training camp. Let's get to work.
Thanks for watching Training Camp with Adam Marburger, exclusively on CBT News.